Hello everyone! Kumusta? This is Che and welcome to my channel, Mabuhay from Philippines. This is a Vanda which my mother gave me, and I will show you the blooms at the start of this video and more later. This is very beautiful, and I will also hang this in my garden. But before that, I will show you an update of my Vandas, my Mokaras in our DIY Vanda Hanger. This was my DIY Vanda Hanger video, and it is one of my most popular videos here in my channel. The hanger is so simple, very easy to make, and does the job. And if you haven't watched that yet, I will include the link of that video in the description. I made this video June last year, and this is how they look like before. I made an update December last year, and this is part of that video. I showed you my Mokaras, my Vandas in our DIY Vanda Hanger. So this is how they looked last year. They were looking great and they were growing long roots. But some of you are still asking about them, maybe because you haven't checked that video, because this was just part of that video. I also made updates about my other orchids there. So today I'm making an update just for these Vandas. Here they are today after more than a year. They still haven't flowered for me, but so are my other Vandas. They were top-cut Mokaras, so they can take time before they flower. And for those of you who ask if they will survive, if they will live in this setup, the answer is yes, and this is how they look like now. They are already tall and they are growing very long roots. You just have to water them regularly depending on your environment, and in our environment here, I water them once a day, every day except when it is raining. And you also have to fertilize them regularly. I have a video on how I fertilize my orchids. I will include the link in the description. It is actually of the same setup of those Vandas in 3-inch plastic baskets that you usually see in nurseries, except that there's no basket, only wire. Very simple, perfect for top-cut Vandas. When my mother came here, she was very amazed. She didn't know that you can plant or you can grow Vandas in this setup, and she said that she will copy this and she will do this to her Vandas in our home. She started growing orchids when she was young, and I guess there's always something new to learn in growing orchids, and I'm happy that she learned this from me because I learned a lot from her. So here's my latest update about my Vandas, my Mokaras in our DIY Vanda Hanger. I hope that next time I will share them to you with flowers. And if you notice that there are only 5 of them now, that's because I potted the other 2 in a clay pot. Here's the other 2 Mokaras. I planted them in a clay pot, in one clay pot, and I managed not to kill their roots in the process. They are even growing their roots now in the clay pot. And if you haven't watched that video yet, I will also include the link in the description. Going back to this Vanda, I will also plant this in our DIY Vanda Hanger. There are spots on the leaves, but I am not worried. It has an old spike, a dry spike, because my mother gave it to me with flowers, and I will show you the flowers in a bit. I will just have to show you this first because it has a keiki. The keiki has no roots yet, and I am not planning to separate them. And before I show you how I plant this Vanda in our DIY Vanda Hanger, I will show you first how my mother used DIY Vanda Hanger for this orchid. And of course, I will show you the flowers of this very beautiful Vanda. Look at them. So amazing. Guwapa kaayo sila. They were both blooming. My mother had 2 of them and she gave me the other one. My mother used the DIY Vanda Hanger to hang them in our fence, and the roots were already growing into the fence. So I chose the other one with less roots that were attached to the fence. I will also show you a close-up of their beautiful flowers. Very beautiful. Guwapa gyud kaayo. But unfortunately, it doesn't have an ID. I don't know the name of this Vanda, and if you happen to know the name of this Vanda, please write it in the comments. I will really appreciate it. The flowers were small and I already forgot if they were fragrant or not. I hope that it will bloom again so that I can tell you if they are fragrant. Let's work for this Vanda, but first I will have to cut this old spike. And then I will water this so that I can clean this Vanda, and I will also cut the dead roots. The roots should turn green when wet like this, but we cannot tell for all of the roots because some of the roots or most of the roots are covered with algae. So we will just have to feel them if we are going to cut them away or not. I will cut the dead roots. I will start cutting roots at the bottom because this is where the oldest roots are, and I will only cut the dead roots. I have a separate video on how to do this properly, so I will just include the link in the description. After cutting the dead roots, I will now clean this Vanda. I will remove the old leaves or the old sheets or what you call this. I am not sure, but I will clean this part and I will remove these. Now that I have cleaned or prepared the Vanda, I will now make the DIY Vanda hanger using this aluminum wire. For the size, I am not sure, maybe 16 mm. I will now make a coil or a spiral at the end of this wire, but I'm telling you, this will not be a work of art. This is it. I will just adjust as I place the Vanda here. I made an adjustment and now I will place the Vanda here, and I will still make an adjustment here as I place the Vanda. This is it. I have placed the Vanda after some adjustment, and now I will just have to tie the Vanda into the hanger. I will use this soft wire to tie or to secure the Vanda in the wire hanger. I will also use a plastic tie to tie the top part of this Vanda because it is softer. And then I will just bend this top end of the wire so that I can hang this. We are in the garden. This is done, and I will now hang this Vanda. And that's it. So simple, very easy to make, not a work of art, but it will hold your Vanda and it will do the job well. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for your time, and I hope that you'll also check my other videos. Thank you for watching! Maraming salamat! Paalam! See you on my next videos.